The clue is in the name. It's about giving thanks for this bountiful harvest.
I really love the meaning of Thanksgiving, my friends. And again, if you are watching this and you are already in Thanksgiving mode, I wish you and your family have a tremendous, tremendous day. And I said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm super thankful to have you watching me. I think we should do this every day, you know, be thankful for what we have. But in this day in particular, I know a lot of us will start thinking about what we are thankful, and yeah, I'm thankful for a lot of things, but you in particular is one of the things I'm also thankful. How the US Thanksgiving wasn't what I expected. My friends, this is a really interesting title, but before I go into this, I want to say a couple of things today. I know a lot of you are already in Thanksgiving mode, and I hope you, your family, your friends have the best time of their life. I really mean this. I believe it's also common to say what we are thankful for, and I'm thankful to have you watching me right now. You may not believe it, but it really means a lot to me. Now, back to the video, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description, and let's play it.
As somebody who grew up 4,000 miles from my current home, the only frame of reference I had for the American life I now live was American TV and
Movies.
film. In the 80s, much like today, these infiltrated Britain in much the same way British music infiltrated America. As a child, I was in love with the Goonies, not to mention
The
Andy
Goonies.
from the Goonies. I watched
Sorry, what the hell is the Goonies? By the way, Back to the Future, I love all the movies.
Back to the Future 47 times in the same week. And then at some point in the late
lot of-
80s, I was introduced to a very specific American comedy. Now for context, you have to understand that
Wait, I'm sorry, my friends, but oh, he looks like he's dead. I mean, that makes sense, but isn't that would you guys agree with me? That's amazing.
back then, my dad used to go on business trips to London. And this was always quite exciting because it meant he'd return with a mystery VHS. Following a successful track record of delivering eye-popping entertainment, my dad, apparently, decided on a different approach with an American movie that I did not recognize. Planes, Trains and Automobiles, said my
Planes, Trains and Automobiles. Anyone watching actually know this movie? I have no idea.
very English dad. It's about a bloke who's trying to get home for, I think they call it Thanksgiving. It's meant to be right funny. Given that I was expecting Karate Kid 2, my disappointment was palpable, and so the tape lay dormant until I was bored one Sunday afternoon. I put it on, and sure enough, my dad was right. It was funny. To the extent that my best friend and I used to copy the bit where Steve Martin says the F word 18 times. Sorry, Mum, if you're just learning about that. But after several watches, there was one question that kept popping into my head. What on earth is Thanksgiving? Well, 20 years later, after moving to the United States, I found...
Honestly, before we go into this, when I was a kid, I thought Thanksgiving and Christmas are more or less the same thing. I actually thought you guys celebrated one day earlier, and then you had the night of Christmas, and I always thought, man, Americans really celebrate a lot of stuff, you know, because they have the Christmas, but that Christmas is not enough for them. They also have a day for Thanksgiving that is, I thought was 1 or 2 days before Christmas. Now it sounds really dumb, I'm aware, but I really thought that.
Found out firsthand, and it wasn't what I was expecting. The first
we wish you a merry... Wait, is this a cat jumping? wait, what? Sorry. We wish you a merry Christmas... What? Wait, you guys also say a merry Thanksgiving?
The first surprise is that Thanksgiving wasn't simply another word for Christmas. And I know to Americans that might sound weird because Thanksgiving isn't Christmas. But the film gave me more than one reason to believe that it was. Firstly, they're...
Wait, he also thought that... okay, now I don't feel as dumb.
driving around in lots of snow, which in Britain is a fairly rare event, but if it does occur, it usually does so in winter and not autumn. I have since realized and was reminded...
Wait. It snows in autumn, in the fall in America. Wait, it snows in October or November, my friends? No chance, right? Wait, maybe there is a chance because he's talking about that. Oh man, weather in America is crazy.
It usually does so in winter and not autumn. I have since realised and was reminded just the other day that in the American Midwest, thick snow in November, or Snowvember, is not uncommon.
Really?
He loves it. Look at him. He's so excited. Are you going to run around, Arthur?
Oh,
Are you going to run
crazy.
around? Secondly, in the film, while Steve Martin's wife is waiting for him to come home, I believe there's a quick shot of her lighting a candle, which we're not going to do right now because there's a cat here and I'll probably burn him. But that, in tandem with this winter feel, made it appear like a cheap Christmas card. Thirdly, Steve Martin's wife pulls from the oven a giant turkey. And
So the turkey, I also associate with Christmas, my friend. My friends, don't you guys also eat turkey in the Christmas, for Christmas, basically? Is this a stereotype that is not true? Because for Thanksgiving now, I know it's true. I ended up asking this the other day and you guys said, no, it's very common to eat turkey for Thanksgiving. But what about for Christmas?
It's not a euphemism. Turkey, of course, in Britain is mostly synonymous with the Christmas meal. And so this was a huge reason that I think for the first 26 years of my life, I thought Thanksgiving on the one hand and Christmas on the other were actually one and the same. But it turns out that not only is Thanksgiving not Christmas, it takes place in November. Specifically, the fourth Thursday in November. It didn't help that Steve Martin lived in a huge house in the Chicago suburbs, because that makes me think of one thing, Home Alone, which is a Christmas movie. Anyway, speaking of two films that featured the late great Sir Jonathan Candy, that brings us on to this.
Okay. Canadians, oh man, Canadians. Sorry. Celebrate Thanksgiving in October. What?
I didn't know it yet, but America was not alone in celebrating a holiday of this very name. I mean, cut me some slack, I barely knew that America did. Because as I've been doing this channel over the years, I've discovered that there are Canadians in the world, and they watch. Hello. And usually, whenever I do any kind of Thanksgiving-themed content, I get those really polite comments that are along the...
Yo, my friends, this is actually crazy. I also get some comments from Canadian viewers. I don't know why they are watching me, to be honest, since I only react to America. But just want to say, I love all of my Canadian viewers, but I crack some jokes about Canadians, but it is all fair, you know, it's just me playing around.
Lines of Lawrence, you disgrace. You forgot about Canadian Thanksgiving again, so I'm inserting it into this video to appease you. John Candy, the greatest Canadian, after Bret the Hitman Hart, would not have celebrated Thanksgiving the same day as his character in Planes, Trains and Automobiles, because it turns out that Canada does theirs on the second Monday in October. And given that Canada also does Boxing Day, if you took all of the North American holidays, the holiday season would never end. It would be 3 solid months of eating and vomiting.
Why are we doing this? I believe it's quite obvious, right? Is a day that you appreciate what you have, that you are thankful for what we have. I believe there is not a lot more into this, right, my friends?
Before I knew better, I never once questioned...
You know what? I actually love the meaning of Thanksgiving. I think it's so beautiful that you have a specific day, even though I think we should do this every day, be thankful for what we have. But I really like that you have a day that everyone shares what they are thankful. Because, you know, a lot of us, I'm not saying everyone, are so lucky.
The inherent meaning of Thanksgiving, that we gather to celebrate the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ and open lots of presents. But during my first Thanksgiving party, which happened about 2 weeks after I moved to the United States, it became clear at that point that this was in addition to Christmas. And so I was quickly onto the business of eating, but also asking these friends and family members at the table, what's all this about? And this was actually a college campus, so for them it was about getting drunk. But, you know, after a few solid pints, I managed to get out of them that the day is all about giving thanks. The clue is in the name. It's about giving thanks for this bountiful harvest of food
so amazing,
that we have at this table, or just...
Okay, let me pause this. I know he's joking a bit, but I really love the meaning of Thanksgiving, my friends. And again, if you are watching this and you are already in Thanksgiving mode, I wish you and your family have a tremendous day. And I said this at the beginning of the video, but I'm super thankful to have you watching me. I think we should do this every day, you know, be thankful for what we have. But in this day in particular, I know a lot of us will start thinking about what we are thankful. And yeah, I'm thankful for a lot of things, but you in particular is one of the things I'm also thankful.
Just in America. I'm not going to do a deep dive on the history of this, but what I am going to do is just give you my observation.
Oh, this the history I'm also a bit aware. Basically, Native Americans end up teaching people that came from to America, basically, right? To let's say conquer the land, how to work in the soil, stuff like that, and then they end up being so thankful that they made a big, you know, not sure if this was a dinner or a lunch, but they had a great time together. Basically, end up celebrating that, right? More or less, my friends. I tried to explain the best I could.
The food that we have at this table, or just in America. I'm not going to do a deep dive on the history of this, but what I am going to do is just give you my observation of how Americans display that gratitude. I don't think I've been to a single Thanksgiving family meal with her family and not sat there while another family member, usually a bloke, I don't know why that is, says, let's say grace. So I do.
Oh, I love that.
And at that point, everybody in the room looks at me and says, shut up, you clown. And they, you know...
Hey, my friends, I really love that. Can I get a like for Thanksgiving and for America? Because this, for me, is one of the most beautiful holidays that you guys have. I find it... I don't even have a word. I was about to say fantastic, but it's more than that. I find it really, really... I say this a lot of time, tremendous.
Basically thank the Lord for all of this wonderful food that we are about to eat to excess. But I think it's more than that, because I think that something that I suppose we never got to see in Planes, Trains and Automobiles is the actual event, the sitting round the table, because Thanksgiving is a joyous occasion, and I don't know if that's just because people feel extra thankful that day, or if it's this. It's a holiday with very little pressure. Unless you're the one cooking all the food, then there's a lot of pressure. But unlike Christmas, you don't...
Yo, this is a great point, with all the respect. The person that cooks, I mean, probably there is multiple persons, I'm assuming, but if you are cooking from the morning until... but you have to start a couple of days earlier, right? You cannot do all of the stuff I see you guys do in one day. I think that's impossible, right? You do the pecan pie, the packing. You guys know what I'm talking about. All the casseroles. Man, it's a lot of stuff.
I'll have to buy presents.
Actually, my friend, sorry. I asked for so many questions that I feel like you guys cannot answer all of them, and I understand that. But I have one in particular that I would love if you could leave me an answer. And that way, I also know you are watching not until the end, but at least until the middle of the video. What is the best food? What is the food you like the most at Thanksgiving? I really wonder, my friends. Looking at what I see online, I think I would love to try the pecan pie, to be fair. I know this is a dessert, right? But looks so good.
For anybody, so that's nice. And because it falls on a Thursday, some employers might even give their employees the Friday off, so therefore you get a 4-day weekend, which is a
4-day weekend. By the way, my friend, I said food, I meant what's your favorite plate? What's your favorite dish?
Pretty rare thing in America. In Britain, this exact scenario plays out if indeed Christmas and Boxing Day are immediately before or immediately after the weekend. In either case, in my experience, you'll probably spend those 4 days eating turkey sandwiches.
Planes, infrequent trains and automobiles. What?
The basic premise of Planes, Trains and Automobiles is, of course, a send-up of actual US travel patterns around Thanksgiving. According to AAA, around 80 million Americans travel at least 50...
Wait, how many? Sorry?
Around Thanksgiving. According to AAA, around 80 million Americans travel at least 50 miles at this time of year. And routine
80 million! Oh my god, my friends, I was not aware of this. So you guys go to meet your family, to meet your friends. Oh, that's beautiful again. I love Americans.
Routinely, I'm one of them. I suppose that's what happens when you start your American life in Indiana and then move to Chicago and leave behind a lot of family members that you inherited. Well, this kind of thing, I've come to find, is the reality for a lot of Americans. And so like Steve Martin...
Wait, my friends, anyone watching are about to travel or end up traveling to go to celebrate Thanksgiving with a family or with friends? If so, my friends, I don't know, leave me a like, leave me a comment. I would love to know you.
Character, they might use all manner of transport to try to get where they need to go. Now, admittedly, most of the time we will drive those hundreds of miles in a car. But one time when we were less rich, we used Megabus, and there was something profoundly disappointing about that. It's that the people on the
Ooh, public transportation in America. My friends, we know. You guys should know this at this point. Here in this channel, we all love America. No one talks against America. No one. Do I ban people that talk against America? No, because I also like free speech. That said, 99% of us here love America. But can we all agree that Americans tend to say that public transportation is really bad in America? Really, really bad. You guys say this all the time.
We used Megabus, and there was something profoundly disappointing about that. It's that the people on the bus didn't start singing the theme tune to the Flintstones, which happens in Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones!
Now, in hindsight, this is sort of weird, because if anyone's going to break out into song, it is Americans. I pointed out in my recent road trip video that this is a fairly common occurrence with inside the walls of a car. Do cars have walls? I don't know. But in my experience, this sort of thing doesn't happen on buses, largely because nobody wants to be there and we're all terrified of strangers. Happy holidays. But when it comes to traveling for the holidays, I think Planes, Trains and Automobiles did get one thing right, and that's that American trains are unreliable.
You guessed it? What?
What I'm about to say is a spoiler for a 37-year-old film. So if you haven't seen Planes, Trains and Automobiles, put me on mute for 20 seconds and don't be tempted to lip read. At the end of the movie, Steve Martin takes a lonely John Candy back to his huge house in the Chicago suburbs. And when they get there, the family is so happy to see them. Paul Young is playing in the background and it's just a rousing finish to the film. There's just one problem. Where are the other 20 people, Steve? I mean, I know you turned up late, so maybe they all left. But my experience is if you've got a house as big as that, you'll have cousins, second cousins, some guy named Todd that nobody recognizes. Because Americans, much more than the British, like to go all out when it comes to invitations. On the one hand, it can be overwhelming for introverts such as myself. On the other, it does give me more people to turn to when my wife's cousin Chad tries to get me to look at his comic collection.
Anyone for seconds? For seconds. What this means?
Had I known the full extent of a Thanksgiving meal, I might have overcome my Christmas confusion much sooner. But it seems to me that Steve Martin's wife's turkey, again, not a euphemism, was in fact a ruse. Because when you take into account some of the other food items that are common at a Thanksgiving dinner table, there's not really a lot of crossover with British Christmas at all. Firstly, there's no Christmas pudding, obviously. And instead of mince pies, you have one of either pecan pie, my favourite, pumpkin pie made out of real pumpkins and not whatever the hell this travesty is from Target, or sweet potato pie, or
sweet potato.
About 100 other pies.
Holy
sure,
sweet potato!
I told YouTube sensation Evan Edinger the other day, you know, I gave up added sugar. I'm not going to eat this with you. But back when I wasn't, pies contribute heavily to making this my favourite of the American holidays. And then there's
wait, I would. Ooh, this is the deviled eggs. I know this one.
the sides. I remember sitting around a table not dissimilar to this, and my wife said, I want stuffing, which left me mortified until I realised she meant the food. And so I passed her stuffing, to which she said, that's not stuffing, that's oyster dressing. The stuffing is on the far side of the table. Well, they look the same to me. What is this? I've never heard of oyster dressing. Well, it turns out I should have. Oyster dressing, a bread-filled dish typically enjoyed in the South and by at least one family in the Midwest, actually originated in Britain. The first known reference to oyster dressing can be found in a 1685 edition of The Accomplished, a cookery book by the English chef Robert May. Anyway, the recipe, then a mixture of oysters, bacon, herbs and spices, was brought to North America by British colonists, first showing up in American print more than a century later in Amelia Simmons' American Cookery. Suffice to say, the stuffing or dressing that I've had in the United States is usually quite a lot different to the stuffing that I had in Britain. Partly that comes down to texture, but secondarily, it comes down to the shape. Back in Britain where I come from, it was not uncommon to have stuffing balls, which that is a euphemism. However, in the US, stuffing is often not as congealed, a sort of bread-heavy free-for-all inside a casserole dish themselves more prevalent in US kitchens than British ones. I'm probably generalizing heavily with
Oh, friends, no, okay, stupid question. Maybe not. But you guys eat more at Thanksgiving than you eat at Christmas? Is this possible? Is this something that you guys do in America? You guys eat more at this day than Thanksgiving? It's amazing.
Everything I've said in this video, but for the most part, that's been my experience. Oh, it's funny how life works out. 35 years after I first laid eyes on planes, trains and automobiles, I've come to appreciate it on a level my childhood brain couldn't have comprehended. Not only have the things listed in this video become annually ingrained into my life, but as fate would have it, I too now live in a suburb of Chicago. It's just that my house is marginally smaller than Steve Martin's. Well. And so I suppose that I'm thankful for life imitating art. But I'm also thankful for my late father for deciding in a moment of clarity not to buy Karate Kid 2. So let me know in the comments.
This video was amazing, my friends. I really love that he ended up showing his father there. What is like visiting America as an American? My friends, should I watch this one? I believe this is a new video of him. I don't know. Should I watch it? This title is really interesting. Leave me the number 17 if I should watch that one. That way, I also know you end up watching until the end, and that means so much to me. Well, friends, that said, like I will finish the way I started. Have a great day with your family, a great week. I'm not sure. Seems like you guys celebrate 4 days or 5, something like that. Either way, have a great day with the ones you love, better saying. Because, you know what? I think the meaning of Thanksgiving is so beautiful that, I really appreciate to have all of you guys, and I think you guys should appreciate not to have me, because there is a lot of YouTubers, but to have the ones you love. So, see you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.